What is going on? Welcome back to another DTO video. I hope that you've been enjoying the videos that we've been putting up each week, and if you've been dropping into my stream, enjoying when we play DTO as well. I'm actually probably going to start every session during Scoop with DTO at the beginning and end some streams. So if you aren't already following me there at easywithaces.tv, those sessions will be coming up at the beginning of April, because I honestly think DTO is one of the most efficient and least stressful ways to study, because you don't have to run the sims, you don't need to make sure that you're the one putting in the correct outputs, and it can just be a very nice, easy way to get a lot done. So we're going to be doing that a lot, and today I'm also going to mix it up a little bit. Normally when I'm studying on DTO and using it as a tool, I like to concentrate on one spot. The reason I do it that way normally is because I think it's an easy way to start to identify patterns when you just, drill hands and hands and hands, and you'll notice spots that just constantly come up. But in saying that, sometimes I probably don't go over spots I enjoy a little bit less. So what we're going to do today is we're going to play the quick play. DTO is going to send random hands to me from different scenarios, which means that we will have to look at the ranges every hand, because if we don't, we're kind of guessing what the players, the bots, I should say, in these situations will have. And it doesn't do you any harm, no matter how experienced you are, to go over and look at ranges and just make sure. I will say that because some of these spots I won't be as familiar with, I probably am going to get a few more blunders, much to Dom's delight. But we're going to try our best to do as well as we can and explain why I think the bot will be taking certain lines in different situations. So we're going to dive into it. The first hand we have here is 60 big blinds, single raise pot. So the hijack is opening and the cutoff is calling. So automatically we want to see what the hijack's opening, and the interesting things that maybe some players would miss would be maybe 5-4 suited, all of the suited sixes. So I would just open all the suited sixes as an easy hack to remember this. But this is the correct range if you want to try and remember it exactly, which I think will be tough. Offsuit hands were all 10s and mixing king 9, so pretty much just 10s. And ace X is ace 7 plus pretty much. And then of course all the suited stuff, the suited kings, all the pairs, and some of these low suited connectors. So we have a lot of coverage on a lot of the boards. And then we need to look here to what we have in the cutoff, which, as you can see, like, we're missing a lot of hands. And you might be like, why don't we have king 10? Why don't we have queen 10? Why don't we have jack 10? They're just going to play true bet versus the hijack. So we don't have those hands. These hands that we do have are, sorry, those are the offsuit combos. We do have the suited variations, apologies, but they're just heavily mixed. So most of the suited combinations that you're going to flat sometimes, they're just going to be really, really heavily mixed. As you can see here, the 9s are mostly tree bet. The 10s are almost 50-50 mixes when you average it out. Kind of similar 0.6 with the jack. So we do have okay coverage of the Broadway boards, but the low suited board, like these low boards, are not going to be for us. We have a little bit of the suited stuff, and then we don't have queens plus. And we don't really have a lot of the nutted pair, so it's somewhat interesting. So what do we know after saying all that? Like, this board's not terrible for us, and I don't think there's a world in which I can ever fold this hand with ace queen with a spade, so it's going to be a pretty easy start. And now we have to decide on the turn, what do we want to bet? Like, do I want to block here? Like, do I want to block 10s? Do I want to block 8s? I don't think it achieves a lot, because I think our opponent will check some jacks. So I think ace queen, and how my range works on this turn, I think I want to start playing big boy pots. I think I want to potentially play for stacks. So do they have a lot of jacks when they call a turn? I think so. I think they have some diamonds too. This is a tough spot. It feels kind of tight to check, but I think without the ace of diamonds, I'm going to check. All right. It's good. Where did we get it wrong? It likes the all in. I would assume when we have ace queen with the diamond, it's like oh, not really. I would have thought the ace queen with the diamond is much preferred. Maybe they call more when they have ace jack with the ace of diamonds, and that's why it's not. Interesting that it prefers it without the diamond. I guess it just gives them such a good bluff catcher when they do have it. So interesting. I want to see my turn strategy as well. Yeah, so on a turn, we do still check this hand occasionally. There's a little bit of small betting, but the predominant strategy is going to be the big bet. And the way we're going to play this is we have our queens. So our value is the queens. Occasionally, we use ace jack. Because, you know, I assume the bot expects to bet a queen most of the time. And we're going to bluff with like king 10. And then these are the bluffs that a lot of people miss. Like these are mandatory calls on the flop. And they are pretty good bluffs to have on the turn. So these are bluffs that people like, you're in game and you get to the turn, you're like, oh, I'll just try a showdown against ace high, but they get somewhat capped when they check the turn. So I like using them as bluffs. I think it's easy to miss them. All right, what we got for our next scenario? We have 20 big blind, single raise pot, big blind versus hijack. So I think this is a range most people will be more familiar with, or you should be, in my opinion. I think you should know your big blind versus most position ranges. Basically, it's just going to be a lot of suited stuff and folding the very bottom of the deck, right? We're not folding a lot versus the big blind. The hands that you might be interested, we don't have any pairs because we ripped them all. I might be tempted to flat aces sometimes, but it's not liked here. We don't have ace jack plus, we don't have any ace jack. The suited hands, we're flatting them. I'm surprised we don't see any of this shoving. It just whips the ace 5, but none of the rest. And I'm surprised we don't see a little bit more shoving with the broadways, but as you can see, like we have a lot of hands. Unfortunately for us, this hand is going to be an easy fold. We can look at the hijack quickly, but again, these are ranges that I personally think you should probably have a fair grasp on. But there, it's the usual stuff. But it's not an interesting hand, so I'm not going to waste too much time because we're just folding. Easy peasy. Nothing else to be said about that one. If it was looked a bit more interesting, I'd dive into the ranges a bit more. All right, so now we're 20 big blind single raise pot. It is 9-7 tray. You know, it's the exact same ranges as we just went over because I think it's the same spot, right? Wasn't it? Or am I wrong? Oh, it's hijack versus button. I'm completely wrong. Excuse me. It's hijack versus button. I thought it was button versus or hijack versus big blind. So this is completely different, right? So the ranges here is obviously going to be very similar. This is what we open when we're hijack for 20 bigs, but the button is going to have this range. Fully trapping aces and kings, like all the time. Don't shove them, call them. And then this ace x stuff's going to be mixed, and then we have ace 10, and not really have ace 9, and some suited broadways, right? So overall, if you look at this range, it doesn't do great on this board. It has the suited 9s, but other than that, not great. And we have all the overpairs, so I think with my suits, I want to start putting pressure on their overcards, is what I would think of the situation. So I would bet this size rather than check small. So we get the call. We do block queen 9 of diamonds. Without the spade, I would never think of betting here, but I'm not going all in, and I don't like betting small, so I'm going to check the turn. I don't like my suits for bluffing. We block the missed spades. We block the backdoor diamonds float. But I'm pretty low down my range. My problem is when I check the turn, it's hard for me to open up the action again after my flop size. And so I'm actually going to check here, but I wouldn't be surprised if I get told that it's horrendous. Okay. It does like to check. I think our suits are really bad. And I think once you bet the size you bet on the flop and check the turn, it becomes hard for you to have value. It's like, let's look at the evaluation. So bet 50%. Oh, it likes checking more. Okay. I thought my sizing would be actually quite good there. Does it like the size though with the value hands? Just the usual. I just thought the duplication of like how it would use. I wonder if it prefers Jack 10, because you can bet call it and it has more you know, with the jacks and the tens. I just thought it would be nice suits and nice hand, but okay. Does it? Yeah, it's actually close to a range check. So if I was playing the spot again, on the 9-7x, I would actually just range check it rather than trying to play that mixed strategy. Listen, Dom and some other people are going to be capable of playing the mixed strategy, but I try to simplify, and I would just check this now. I thought we would want to bet tens. Well, we do, right? We do want, it does like if we go back here, it does like betting tens and jacks this size a lot, but it prefers checking them. So anyway, so on the turn, I just want to see what hands we would be showing when we bet that size. It's our 9x, it's our 10s, it's our jacks. But I want to also see in general, does it like this smaller size with some stuff? Yeah, it does. I just want to see if these strategies work, because I don't think it's good to have only all in. But anyway, button versus big blind, 20 big blind ICM. So we need to see the stacks. There's a 20, 20, 20, 50, and then there's this. We want to look at their range. They do not have pairs, basically. They have sixes. Basically don't have pairs. Don't have any good ace-x. They have actually a lot of the suited broadways. So this board's like, you know, they do okay, and they lose a lot at the bottom of the deck. So this board's actually quite good for them. I think because of the ICM pressure, I can bet small. And I don't want to bet full my hand. So I think because 20, 20, 20, we can probably bet small against them. And potentially double barrel. They'll win sometimes. So this might be dicey, and I wouldn't do it without the ace of diamonds, but I'm going to put them to the test for their tournament life on the line, and the bot is going to tell me that I am an idiot. Pure check. I would have pure checked without the ace of diamonds. Let me see if that is an error. Just pure check all ace 10. I mean, I can understand why we want to do that. I just thought that with the ace of diamonds, we might be able to bluff it occasionally. You know, it's not a bad thing for us if they fold jack 9. Well, yeah, I think it's fine. You know, all right, we made a mistake. It's our first one wrong. Mistakes will be made. Poker is tough. This is 30 big blinds ICM. They're just throwing the random ICM ones at me, eh? Thanks, Dom. Appreciate it. So 30, 10. I guess these are just not stacked, so we're four-handed. I think we need to play really passively in limp pots and king queen 8 monotone. I'm just out. I'm not bluffing. This turn seems somewhat tempting. Not to me. I'm checking. And now we have the nut straight, which is, oh, sorry, we don't. Jack 10. I'm playing poker for a long time. I know what the nut straight is. It's tempting to bet this size. Could I check raise my hand for value? I think so. Should I? I'm not sure. I'm going to just bet this. Prefers a different river size. Yeah, 120%. It likes betting the turn as well. Look, if it wasn't an ICM situation, I would have not used this size in the river ever, and I would have been starting to put chips in the middle because we just want them to fold if they have like whatever it be, like jack 4 of hearts or something. But ICM situations are tough, and I think I'm trying to study it more and more, and I'm potentially getting worse at it, which is not good. Just because it's so complicated, I overcompensate both ways. But anyway, this is just a single raise pot. It is ace queen 9. We should look at the ranges. So as we see here, they actually have a lot of aces. It's actually a huge part of our range. They have some of the smaller pairs. They don't have any of these middling pairs. They're all in. They have aces and kings. Overall, I would say this is actually like just a really good board for them. So I'm going to check and I'm going to fold. Is that too weak? Do we get to fold a pair at the 1/3? Right. Like, look at my range. Like, we have amazing. We do great. Okay. Sometimes it's scary because it's, you know, you're not allowed to fold, but they just done so well on that board. This is 20 big blinds ICM. We have 18, they have 18. 20, 50, 20, 50. So we're two stacks that can really cause each other damage. I'm gonna use the small bet, and I'm just gonna win. It likes a lot of checking. I would check here, like for real. I would mix this spot. I should have actually just quickly had a look at the ranges. All right, we'll just move to the next spot and we'll make sure we don't forget again. Single race pot. It is hijack versus big blind. No ace queen, pretty much gone. We have suited hands. It's the usual. It's gonna mix in some of these suited eights as re-raises. Sometimes the offsuit nines. So yeah, and our range is just a hijack opening range, which is pretty standard stuff. I think on 865, I think we can use a bigger bet with our good ace X, and we do need to offset that. I'm not sure if this is the best time to do it, but I don't think it'll be a mistake. And I don't feel the need to bet here. We win a lot. Do we get value from worse a lot? I'm not sure. And when we bet, I don't think I want to bet small. I think I mostly want to like bet geometric. So I'm going to check the turn. And now I hate my life. We unblocked their bluffs of the 3-4 suited, the 7-3 suited, the 7-4 suited, the 7-8 suited, the 7-9 suited. And when we check the turn, I don't have a huge amount of ace X. But in saying that, it's not a fun spot. This is a spot I don't like. I'm gonna fold. I would mix this in game for what it's worth. I think it's a spot that it's hard to know if your opponents are bluffing it enough. So I would just use a randomizer and decide if I was going to call. But it looks like it likes calling 32% or going all in. I wouldn't use this as a bluff all in. Just going to tell the truth. Yeah, this is pretty gangster. And when I check back the turn on a 6 river, like I guess your value is aces. Wow, it likes shoving ace king. Yeah, I wouldn't find this, so I would not find that. I guess the reason being that when they bet this size, they're not really meant to do it with their 6x. Like they're meant to use their 6x for a larger size or a check shove, which makes sense as to why we can then shove ace king. I'd probably bet ace king on the turn a little bit too much then. It actually likes the down bet. I don't find this enough. I don't find it enough for sure. But yeah. See, like we don't really have ace king. Ace king is betting this size 90% on the turn. I mean, we have a slither of it, but for this, like it's like this can be deceiving because it's like 100% ace king, but you don't have it a lot. Aces is going to be, I think, checked on the turn, probably a chunk, right? Yeah, 71% of the time. All right, well, holding's a mistake. I would mix my hand on the river in game and probably not quite sure I'd want to call a lot against people, even though we unblock a lot of bluffs still, and our range is in trouble when we check the turn. I am aware. But I just don't think people bluff enough. Just telling the truth, I don't. But I would still mix it because you can't just be like they never bluff. That won't work either. Okay, big blind versus button, 60 big blinds, single raise pot. We have no eights plus barely sixes or sevens. A lot of the suited stuff. We're mixing in around this region, the 9, 7, or 9, 10 to 9, 6 and 9, 7 and this stuff. Some of the offsuit 9s and 8s, and then some of this offsuit kings. On the button, it's just, going to be whatever, 50 something percent, maybe 52, 53%, standard stuff. So we are going to check. They're going to bet. I'm just going to call. I don't think I want to start check raising this hand, at least a lot. Maybe sometimes. I'm going to check raise the turn. Am I an idiot? Maybe. But I don't think we should check raise all of our flushes on the flop. So I think check raising turn is kind of nice. And obviously we are committed to the all in. Once we check raise the turn, I'm not here to check king high in the river. I'm all in. It's not like it hates it. I wish I would. I wonder if it commits on a non-ace. Obviously they have ace queen, ace king, ace jack, maybe ace nine with a spade. Like they have a lot of ace x with a spade. Maybe that's why, but I just won't be able to find myself to check the river. I would not. So what does it bluff? It bluffs 10-8. See, this is hard for me to understand. Our hand blocks king queen and the flushes, but we're bluffing 10-8. Is it? It's because we block the. Well, let me find a better example than 10-8 because that does block like turn sets and like ace 10 with the ace of spades and stuff. Is that why? Why? Is it because we block their auto folds now? Is that what it is? That's probably it, right? Because they're gonna check. They're gonna call on the turn with the king of spades a lot of the time, and with the good shot and the flush draw, and then we block that. That might be it. I can't not commit. Once I check raise the turn, I'm in. You got me. You got yourself a paying customer. So this is small blind versus button, and it is 100 big blinds deep. This is going to be a linear range that we use. So just these hands sometimes are just going to be mixed. Maybe sometimes they flat them. I don't flat out a small blind. 100 big blinds deep, I usually just play 3-bet or fold. So like these hands that are like 0.1, that's not because we're calling. I'm pretty sure it's because we're folding, I would guess. I'm not 100% sure, but I would think so. Check it out on DTO pre and then you can find out. But yeah, so okay, there obviously is some flat calling because we're not folding ace queen, right? So there is some flat calling, and it's probably maybe a mistake I'm making. But the button range, they flat fairly high up with their pairs. They have jacks, tens, nines, all of the mix. They have all the suited ace x. They have ace queen. They don't have any ace king. They don't have any queens. But in saying that, still, I'm still gonna bet big on this board because I have ace king and they don't, and I have better coverage of the sets than they do. So yeah, it likes the bigger bet, which is pretty nice. All right, we go again. This is button versus hijack. As we seen earlier on, we went over the spot. We were in the hijack, so we'll just have a quick look at the ranges. But we did flick through these. Exact same scenario. We're always flatting aces. We're always flatting kings. So if we look at our range, like we do okay. We have the nines. We have aces and kings. I think I like betting small here. Personally, I just think it's going to be a strategy that will work very well because our opponents will probably overfold. I had that exact hand against this exact hand, and you fold queen jack with a spade. I wouldn't fold that hand. I would not fold that hand. I would just check call. Let's see a turn card. Big blind versus cutoff ICM situation. Here's our range. A lot of suited stuff. Lose some of the pairs, lose some of the broadways. Lose these suited ace x because we're just going to rip them. We are the two shortest stacks. And on 8-3 deuce, I'm going to try slow play. Is it a mistake? Let's find out. Not so far. Anyone for a check raise all in on the final table? Can I go all in? What I've found in most of the ICM situations is that I often see small betting, but that doesn't mean when someone's capped we won't ever be able to bet big, in my opinion. And I don't really ever have a flush. I think I'm going to go for a check raise all in. But there's only been one big blind put in the pot, and that's a kind of issue for me, given how strong our hand is. I'm going to go for a check raise all in. It doesn't hate it. It's pretty good. It likes checking the river. The other play is the all in. So as you can see, like there is some all ins. It's very small parts of the range, but it is there. It likes check calling. It likes leading. So I can get behind that because our opponent is probably going to bet a really wide range on this flop and struggle to defend against a small lead on a 5, which does interact with our range slightly. Not so much in an ICM situation, but it still does do okay, and they're just going to bet too much. So I think that'll actually work really well in game, but it likes the check raise on the river, which is nice. 20 big blind limped. Where's Dom? Where's Dom for this one? I don't limp. I need Dom to hold my hand and get me through this one. This is not something that I do in enough. So I don't know the strategies. So I really need to look at these ranges. I don't implement this into my game. Is that me being lazy? Maybe. Is it something I should do more? Probably. But I don't really limp off these stacks. So wow, it's a very strong predominant strategy, isn't it? It's used a lot. All right, so it's kind. You could shortcut this to saying it's pretty similar to an opening range that I would have. So how would I play this spot in game if I had that range? I would bet this size. But Limp's different because there you have this. They have all this shit. They have everything down here. They have all the hands. So it does change it a bit. You got to be careful betting big on these boards. I'm all in. Am I calling or am I all in? All in? Okay. It's a fan. It likes the big bet and it likes the all in. So you just gotta be careful on some boards and in pots, I would say. But it does like that size. 100 big blinds, 3-bet pot. It is big blind versus button. This is going to be a linear range again, where these hands are going to be heavily mixed to flat and to 3-bet, and you can see like these hands, like not everyone will use this, but these suited hands, I probably miss some of these if I'm being completely honest. I won't have these a lot of the time. I start using the offsuit stuff a bit more, but I'm probably missing some of these like A5s and 10-6s, and like some of them are pretty heavy mixes. So this is probably a range that I should actually be looking at in DTO pre a bit more. It's easy to miss the 3-bets as you get deeper stacked, in my opinion, from the big blind. I think it's easier to find them when you get shallower, and it's very easy to auto call as you get deeper. So interesting. I am going to obviously call. It is goes without question. So what I'm thinking is, should I ever turn my hand into a bluff? I believe the way their strategy should probably work on the flop is that they should actually probably check a lot on this board, which is not something that I used to do. But if the same strategies apply from like 40 to 60 big blinds, then it might not. But I've studied the spot with 40 to 60 a lot, and there's a lot of checking on these ace-high boards, and they just balance it by checking like their weaker ace-x, then it's obviously like kings, queens, jacks, tens, the usual suspects, and like then aces sometimes. But I'm wondering if I should try and make some of these hands fold to check the turn, because, you know, do they check strong hands on the turn on this board? How threatening is this board to them? That spot, actually the spot I'm talking about is small blind versus button, so it might not be the same. I'm just trying to see what's their coverage of the pairs. So they don't have these low pairs, and I have all the sets. So I can understand that they would want to check some strong hands here, so we're not turning into a bluff. Can I go all in? I think I can. I just think they're going to really struggle to have a 4 once they check twice. How many 4s do I have, though? I think I have enough. Nope. No, I do not. It does like betting the turn sometimes. I'm not so interested in this. I went for the greedy size and I was wrong. I'm interested in the DTO strategy on the flop. See, okay, so I'm wrong. I was wrong about comparing the spots. When I see this, and I know if I could play this hand again, and I know that this is the range, like that they bet this wide on the flop, and I don't really have a checking strategy, I'm now very much tempted to turn my hand into a bluff on the turn, like very regularly. I just thought that the range wouldn't look quite like this. I didn't have the right image of it, so yeah, I think our hand is actually just a very, very attractive bluff on the turn now. All right, let's do one more hand. What is our final scenario sent to us by DTO? It is 30 big blinds limped. It is blind versus blind. This is how their range works. Oh my god, I definitely have aces here a lot. You're meant to just pure raise to me. I got some work to do on my ranges, man. I haven't been working on them enough, obviously, because oof. All right, this is something I just need to do 10, 15, 20 minutes every single day. Do a little bit every day, as James Clear says in his book. You get 1% better every day, you'll be 37 times better by the end of the year. Now, of course, there'll be diminishing returns with poker study, but like I'm missing a lot of stuff, I feel, in this one. This is an easy call. Never, ever, ever folding. So we can obviously just bet big. We can go for this and try and stack them. But in these blind versus blind spots, I feel we like to keep hands in that are drawing dead and don't bet big all the time, which is something that Dom taught me and DTO taught me. So I would bet between these two sizes. I'm gonna go with the middling one. And yeah, okay. So it actually does like doing this. This is what I would have used to do all the time. I want to mix. I would have been like pretty polar on this turn. Like I would have checked a lot of my 4x. I would have, you know, checked some queen x occasionally, probably not too much. And I would use this size a lot, but I would guess that this size allows me to bet fours. King 4, ace 4, basically. Yeah, okay, maybe maybe not too great, but it likes using this, and obviously we just use hands like 7-6 and 7-5 and good shots, and probably some hands up in this region that block the top of their queen x range they occasionally have. But anyway, that was just a little bit different on the DTO front because I didn't focus on one spot, but I feel like I noticed I need to learn quite a few bits about the ranges, and I'm probably missing a few too many spots. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you're going to join me for the grind on easylaces.tv in the next few weeks. You're going to see a lot of DTO. I just honestly, I of course I'm affiliated. That goes without saying. So, but I do think it's an amazing tool. I think it's one of the main reasons why I get to compete playing in the high rollers, and it's something that I should be utilizing even more. So hopefully you'll join me. You can obviously check out more on dtopoker.com. You can check out their YouTube, and you could get involved in the comments if you'd like to tell me which spot you'd like to see. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you next week.